But the reality is that I don't think that the way this ordinance was written is attacking the problem people think it meant to attack. And that's something for another conversation when we get to dealing with this controversial ordinance. Because it's not a tobacco issue. This is a blunt issue, literally.
And by the way, in the city of Providence, we cannot accept any manufacturer's coupon from cigarettes, tobacco, Skoal, Copenhagen. We cannot. And
Anyone else? Yeah, sure.
So, thank you for being here and for your honesty, I appreciate it. The city did send out 2 official letters, I will say that, to 7-Eleven. But I want to make a motion to fine 7-Eleven $250 for the first offense.
A motion by Councilman Fonseca to fine the establishment $250. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Acosta. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilman Ferry?
Yes.
Councilman Acosta?
Yes.
Councilman Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fonseca?
Yes.
Councilman Lozay?
no,
Councilwoman Rivera? No. Councilman Solano?
No.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Why did you do this?
Thank you again for your honesty.
Next business is Central Warehouse.
thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Could you please state your name and address into the microphone, please?
Hello, hello everyone. Good evening. My name is Tarun Patel. On behalf of Jairaj Inc., DBA Central Warehouse Liquor, 1060 Wall Street Central.
Mr. Patel, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Detective?
It's going to be the same incident conducted by Detective Bolton on January 17th. He entered the business, products were displayed behind the cash register, and he was sold the product.
Mr. Patel, do you have anything to say about these charges?
Well, everybody discuss same thing, so we're not gonna over and over. And I know I'm gonna get charged for $250. But the reason, I just wanna say, my distributor, salesman, I keep telling him do you know we supposed to sell in Central Wall flavored tobacco or not? He keeps saying, yes, you can, if you cannot sell here, my computer or whatever, they bring it with the order, so they're supposed to block the product. So we not get it. But he still right now at the moment, yes, I mean today, he was here in my store, I still can order, he was there. So I don't know.
Can I ask for the staff here in City Hall if it would be possible, using what Vernia compiled, could we forward that information to the distributor that these businesses have been talking about? Because again, I can hear both sides of the situation, and I think they're being dealt a shitty stick here. And so them having the most information available, I think would put them in a better position to be successful going forward. So would that be something that we can arrange?
If we receive contact information and an address and someone to send it to, absolutely.
I would even,
When
I agree with that,
those
even,
tobacco licenses, we have
what's
to.
it called,
Retailer? Distributor?
Distributors or like reputable distributors, if we could have a list and then send that out to businesses so they know that the products that they're getting are flavored.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and since each of these ordinances are tied to licenses, which are tied to the Department of Health, we may want to alert the Department of Health about these 2 distributors in Central Falls, Conklin, and the other one, and have them, ask them to contact the retailers for purposes of education and informing them about these products since they're overseeing the state industry.
Let's do that and then continue.
Yes.
Mr. Patel, Do you stock the products yourself, or does the
Yes.
distributor come in?
Well, we do is order one by one everything.
But when you're stocking your products, do you look at what you're stocking?
We took it out every single thing for that right now as of Monday.
No, but what I'm driving at, when you put something on the shelf, you know what it is, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lizzie.
I make a motion to issue a warning.
You have motion by Mr. Lizzie to issue a warning. Is there a second? Hearing none, seeing none, motion dies. Anyone else?
I make a motion to issue the first offense fine, $250, and request that the business owner submit the contact information for their distributor to our city clerk so that we can forward that information to the Department of Health and send them over our guidelines.
You have a motion by Mr. Costa, second by Councilman Fonseca. Everyone understand? Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote?
Councilman Perry?
Yes.
Councilman Acosta?
Yes.
Councilman Figueroa? Councilwoman Rivera Fonseca? Yes. Councilman Jose?
No.
Councilwoman Rivera? No. Councilman Solano?
No.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you for that in your case.
The last business is Mikiara Supermarket. They're not in the Mr. President, Representative Mikiara Supermarket.
Looking for a motion to table? Motion to table. Motion by Councilman Solano. Second. Second by Councilman Figueroa. Any,
I can't answer that, ma'am.
So we can't just issue fines?
They're not listed in
Yeah.
either of the police reports,
No.
neither their address nor their name. So I don't know why they're on the agenda as being here for the hearing.
Yeah.
The 635 Dexter Street, nor Mitiera comes up in either of the two reports.
We have 7-Eleven, Central, Carlos.
The one that's missing is Associated Supermarket, 693 Dexter Street.
That is,
that's right.
Do you have?
Associated.
I have the 693 as well. I don't have that first one you just listed.
Associated.
That's 693 Dexter.
Oh, it is associated, is 693?
Yes.
693.
That's in Seattle? Because it's on page 1 of,
It's a different address though.
what is that, Carlos Market? Yes, yes.
Supermarket.
Oh, that's a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are two different places.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to table.
Second.
Let's see what we're tabling.
Then the clerk can send a proper notice out to the individual.
Give Sonia a chance to correct the address.
But they're not notified.
Mr. President, at this moment, I can't identify whether the mistake is,
Okay, so
there was some discrepancy on business names.
right,
As the names that were given to us in the report did not necessarily match the official business name.
correct.
And at this moment, just by looking at the agenda, I can't tell whether it's a discrepancy of, based on the name that the police department had in their report, or in what, a mistake that was made by my office in
Right.
sending the motion.
Right.
So I would feel more
I
comfortable
would throw the
tabling it.
table for Tierra Supermarket.
Yes,
That's what we,
I don't know if it makes sense,
yeah,
but
I
I
have. Mistakes have. I think that's it, correct, on the tobacco licenses?
Yeah, put it for a vote.
About tobacco license, I have one question if I may.
Yes, sir.
Can I get a copy of these proceedings about Blue Cigarillo to send it to 7-Eleven corporate?
Sure,
Sure.
And,
absolutely.
and find where do I pay and,
In the city clerk's office. Downstairs,
will I
on the
receive
first
the
floor,
letter?
where you
Will I
receive the
receive
letter, yes, where you see the letter and you get your license.
Mr. Chairman, I ask for a recess.
Again, I was gonna ask the same thing.
There wasn't a vote taken yet.
Please?
There wasn't a vote taken on that yet.
Um,
Tabling.
On the table.
Oh, I withdrew the table because we're not sure the address or the,
I made a motion to table. Rivera seconded it.
table. No.
It's not even a table.
It's not a table,
It's something that that's wrong. That's what it
we
says.
had, there's nothing to table, we're not,
No, it's not wrong, it's
it's
not.
not wrong.
No. So,
We're not acting on it.
Well, you have your own.
Me Theater used to be Associated Supermarket, little big market on Dexter Street, Darling on the corner, that used to be Theater. So a lot of the businesses don't change their names, Carlos Market has a different name, but that sign's always been there. So the police usually, they go by the name that they see. But the official paper, like our paperwork says,
No, but look at
They
the
say-
address.
Your address.
635 Dexter Street is a
I thought it
different
was
place than
like
693.
693.
That's where the police report said. Our thing says 635. Those are two
oh,
different
I'm not
buildings.
looking at that. I look at the police report.
So I can take this out.
Can I,
Yeah.
I can go look at the summons that I'll have in front of me to confirm the address that it was sent. I can do that if you'd like, and then we can just at least confirm where the mistake was.
Detective, what do you have for address and a name?
693.
I had 693.
So is there anybody here for that address?
No, but they received, it was signed, we have proof that they received it. All the other business gaming spoke with us.
Is the name the same?
But we don't know who received it. Like, if you signed and you got a summons, why
So
would you?
I can, if you'd like to give me 2 minutes, I can
Yeah,
go
we'll take
upstairs.
a quick
And I can go
recess.
hold the letter.
Take it.
Exactly right.
Nope, Department of Financial Reports.
But they're actually doing, you know, nobody was.
They'll probably hold off on the
Probably they won't fix that. Just grandstanding outside of that. Working through it. This is what democracy is about. You know, it's how it works.
Yeah, well, these are
Maybe you'll get paid. I want to know how much city money spent.
And the guy who brought the wire.
Grants and everything.
So Matt, the guy who brought the wire is going to spend 5 times. What? The guy who brought the council is going to spend 5
Yeah, it'll be live.
Why not? Oh, if you need to go along with it, you can actually get it.
is that sometimes it's not the legal victory, it's making.
There was a lot of points being made tonight. I think they had a lot of points in there.
Well, you know, people are thinking, and, you know,
That's all.
for the, long
I'm telling you, that's like a regular journal. And
I've seen those days.
are the doors coming You'll have answers, or how can you expect? I could go back and forth in it.
You still alive?
Barely make it. I took a Sudafed the first hour and to help me. It wakes me up and then
Yeah,
it's
but
congested.
don't take it later.
Because then I can't sleep.
I think you can't sleep. Take advantage of it.
I've been doing every 4 hours Mucinex and 4 hours Sudafed.
But stop the Sudafed at a certain point.
Yeah, I think
It's a short acting Sudafed, not the extended release. Right. And then if you want to sleep tonight, take it.
I think that I have an appointment tomorrow with a nurse practitioner. See if it's
It's a recycled plastic, that's
I try to solve.
Drive to Boston 6 in the morning. Trying to beat Russia. I'll be there at 9.
They need that nut back. They're always decent. But I mean, same school, back into the
I'm glad you
I can. I'll put it down when I get home. So you gotta be there at 2. So I gotta get to about 1:15 or 1
I found Rochester. I found Rochester. I'm safe.
I don't know. I just
One thing we need it makes it intuitively the risk of street the average annual report. So you're charging when actually giving right. You know, get a kill these guys. There's some nursing. You are a brave woman.
Huh?
You are a brave woman.
Am I? I'm gonna borrow crutches from her because I have no time to go to freaking buy it anywhere. I can't. I have no time. Anything.
She has crutches.
She has crutches. I'm so happy that you have them. You can't even imagine.
I have 5 children. Of course I have extra crutches. I have an endless supply of crutches and all sorts of other things. The kids actually use them to play. It's in Lydia's room. They just go around the house and they play with it.
That's so nice of you. Okay, let's move on. Who's next? Can you finance this?
I thought if we had moved you up, I've had you ready the whole time.
You're sick,
Yeah.
That's your bed.
Can't not do the job.
I got you. I got you.
Too many calls. Chief, clean yourself out for dinner. We gotta.
He's already now having a beer. Are you kidding me? They've been down the street at the roundhouse probably since they walked out ahead. The 3 of them. They deserve it. It's a really good crew. Yeah, we've done very, very well. I tell everybody when we do oral interviews, we say, what are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for the it factor. I said, I don't know what the it is. Oh yeah, that's right, because someone was... The last
Because he
really well.
They changed his email.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
It's been dedicated.
Yeah, good.
Because it actually
How many cases have you ever taken out?
They were going to fire and beat up for the intersection. They stopped there.
So they send you Felix.
Oh, to beat it?
And I got there and I'm saying, why didn't he didn't send us right away to this picture? And she said, yeah, really, why didn't you send us? Why didn't you I said, yeah, let's do
How are you?
You know I got.
I paid $20 again.
All right, we got a bit more time.
You too.
Yeah.
It's your people that are asking to do this until the March meeting.
Are you going after that?
Guerra Supermarket is the business that should be called and summoned. I at this point cannot clarify that the summons will send it directly to them. So if you would mind, we could continue to March.
Thank you. So we're going to table. We're looking for a motion to table, as it's in front of us, Tierra Supermarket. It's listed at 635 Dexter Street.
I have a motion.
That's all we have to go on that. So have a motion.
I made a motion.
We have a second. We have a second by Councilman Slough. All those in favor of the table signify by saying aye. Aye. Chair votes aye. Nays. Ayes have it. And at this point, I'd like to go right on to E. Both the police and fire department are waiting.
Thank you for what you did.
Pertaining to your Cambridge Associates.
Okay. So this is claims by, hearing and consideration of claims. It is a claim by Cambridge Associates of Providence for alleged damage to property on August 30, 2017.
Is anyone representing you? Cambridge?
No.
No. Chief? Yeah, switch to number 2, chief is waiting patiently.
Yes, the door, Mr. Solicitor, the door.
The door. Has everyone read the report?
Mr. President, this is a matter, as this council has seen before, involving members of our police and fire departments who reported to an emergent situation involving a member of the public who was in dire physical need for EMS services, are in the official act, inappropriate acting of their duties. Our public safety officials did harm the doors of the property owner. He has since filed a claim with the city to recover the cost of repairing the damage to those doors. The fire department, police department, and law department discussed this matter and found that the officials in damaging the doors did so in emergency situation. They acted within departmental policy and within the confines of the city ordinance, and as such, it is our three departments' perspective that the landlord should pursue reimbursement for those claims, either through the tenant or through an insurance policy, and that the city is not liable.
Thank you. I have something to say, and I think it might be something to look into, is if you want to call it a Good Samaritan law, then we can call it that. I think public safety should be covered, or anybody. If you come upon an accident scene, you jump out of your car, you help, and you accidentally make the injury worse. I mean, they're trying to save a life here, and in the process, they did some damage. So, I mean, where does a Good Samaritan come in? They're doing it in good faith to help possibly save a life, or police, fire, or any of us, or anybody. I don't understand why we should be liable for that, or anyone. And I would like to see some research in other communities if there is such a thing as a Good Samaritan when it pertains to our police, our fire, or for that matter, a member of the council or anybody in administration. That's my opinion when I read this, when I heard about it. I just said, well, they're trying to help. That's my opinion.
Mr. President, I just want to ask, probably not to qualify about this, is that what the only entrance for the firefighter or police department to get into the eye of the people?
It was, and a landlord of a building of this size should have a box which has keys, which our fire department has access to, which should have keys to the units. And they did not.
Knox box. It's called a Knox box.
That box, the Councilman Lizzie referenced, I didn't understand if you said knock or knocks.
Knox.
Do it.
N-A-R-K, Knox box. After the box.
Knox box. They did have a Knox box that was not properly functioning, our department did not have access to it.
It seems to me from reading the report and from looking at the bill that this was a reasonable attempt at saving somebody's life, one that was successful, and for someone who was injured. Also, based on the cost, that is both less than the median and the mean price of the average monthly rent in the city. It's my opinion that this is the kind of issue that would be taken up with the security deposit that is usually standard practice when somebody rents an apartment. And so my leaning is towards rejecting this claim and suggesting that the LLC work with the tenant to find a way to address that issue.
Anyone else on the motion?
Anyone do that? Does anybody else have comments? I didn't want to.
Maria?
No, I just want to second it.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask the solicitor a question?
This about Knox box.
I think we already did that. Mr. Solicitor, has the insurance trust been notified? Have they rendered an opinion on liability? The reference that you mentioned before was regarding fire department banging down the door when they heard it was a wrong address in the last instance that we had. Where do we draw the difference between rescue, breaking down the door for a raid, breaking down the door for a fire run, a rescue run? What is the city's liability with the insurance trust?
As it's a claim under $2,500, the trust is not involved in this particular claim, but what the council has traditionally ascribed to as legal precedent in this matter is that if the public safety officials are operating within their official duties and pursuant to a department regulation or a code of ordinance provision, in other words, they're acting within the scope of any regulation by the department or any law by the city council, and they're acting within their official scope of their duties, then there is no liability that attaches. If they violate a departmental policy or a city ordinance, are acting outside of the scope of their duties and harm someone's property, we traditionally have paid a claim in that instance.
What's the liability if they take the next step, Mr. Chairman? Since this is not, it's under the 2,500, they would proceed to district court or?
They would go to 6 district small claims court and the city would defend it.
Motion to deny the claim by Cambridge Associates of Providence, Rhode Island for alleged damage to property on August 13, 2017.
We have a motion to deny the claim before us, and seconded by Councilwoman Arnold. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilman Finn?
Yes.
Councilman Acosta?
Yes.
Councilman Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilman Fonseca?
Yes.
Councilman Jose?
No.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Solano? Councilman Solano?
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
Mr. Chairman, under remarks, I only voted no because there are instances where the city does make a mistake. I've seen it in the past to broadly categorize it that everything is not to be allowed. I think that's immuning us from even liability or mistakes that we do make. So I'm just concerned at that. That's why I voted no at this time.
Okay, thank you. Next slide.
Do you want to do the business license?
Yeah.
City Council sitting as the Board of License Commissioners, we have a tobacco license. This came from a last meeting for LR Food Mart.
Are they represented here tonight?
If they were here,
Hello, food mart.
they were here earlier,
This will be the second
the
table.
second floor.
Ready for motion?
Motion
To deny,
to deny?
deny or table again, or?
To deny.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Rivera to deny. So second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Fonseca. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
So I understand, that one, this is their second shot, they're not here. I also understand that they had to sit for 2 hours and 53 minutes of somewhat of a circus. And so my question is, if we deny, when and how will they be notified? Because this was the only license that was still out. And so my assumption is that the next business that wants one is going to jump on it right away, and this would now put them at a disadvantage.
Under this, do we know for a fact that they were here? Were they here?
Yes. Yes, they were here earlier. We had spoken with them earlier today.
Sure. So, we are denying the license because they are not here.
That's the motion on the floor, basically.
but they were here today earlier,
Yes.
like Councilor Acosta say, and
Yeah.
I mean, they waited for a long time and they get tired and they left.
Right, right.
And
I agree.
Do we
And
know
then-
why they didn't show up the first time?
And
I do not have that information, but the information that we have today is that they were here.
Yes.
And then I think in the past, two meetings before this one, we agreed that we're gonna take care of business first because we waste a lot of time discussing another thing that sometimes don't require such a long time to discuss. And then, I mean.
No, I agree, I mean, we certainly got tied up on other, I mean, we did have the superintendent make a presentation, we did have the detective here, and yeah, it's long, I kind of agree. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I cannot support the motion. The individuals who are applying for the license have attempted for 2 months. They did come today. I think they made a good faith, or more than a good faith effort to try to outlast the council meeting, but because of whatever reason, a call, emergency, or whatever, they left. I don't think we should hold that against them. We should defer it until the next meeting, give them an opportunity. If they don't show up again, then we can deny it. But I don't think, we're talking of a major license for a business. This is a major license that they've been trying to obtain for like 3 months now. What reason they didn't show, I don't know. It's their responsibility to be here. Why they didn't stay, I don't know, but I don't think we should deny them the license at this point.
Anyone else?
President, I'm gonna withdraw my motion. I'm gonna put in a motion.
Councilwoman Rivera withdrew, and
Second.
Councilwoman withdrew her second. With that, looking for a motion to table.
She put it there.
Table.
I'll second.
Strike, so you're out.
Motion by Councilman Rivera to table. Second is by Colleen and Franklin, and also the Councilman is to table. Any discussion? Call vote?
Councilman Fair?
Yes.
Councilman Acosta?
Yes.
Councilman Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilman Fonseca?
Yes.
Councilman Jose?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera? Yes. Councilman Solano? Motion carries. President?
Perhaps we could put them right after public comment next time.
The next license is a laundry license, is transfer, and that one is yours. Dr. Bowman. This is the on-the-go laundromat at 306 Broad Street.
My name is Suraj Patel. I've been in business for tobacco for 13 years. Good thing I left it before I started today. Yeah, I have other businesses in Seacon, food businesses, but I'm trying to see if we can find new business around, and I found a good business in Central Falls. I'm trying to take over with the permission.
Is there questions of the applicant?
Mr. Chair, move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve, seconded by Councilman Solano and Councilwoman Fonseca. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilman Fair?
Yes.
Councilman Acosta?
Yes.
Councilman Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilman Fonseca? Yes. Councilman Jose?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera? Yes. Councilman Solano?
Yes.
Motion carries. President.
Thank you for your patience.
And the next two licenses are for the same business, La Colombiana Bar and Grill at 477 Dexter Street, and it's entertainment and a food license. Mr. Juan was here.
Good evening, and thank you for your patience. Sorry the cafeteria was closed.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve both licenses.
I second it.
We have a motion for approval by Councilman Rivera, seconded by Councilman Solano and Councilman Acosta to approve.
Collectively.
Do one. The entertainment, is that gonna be weekend, every weekend,
It was a
nightly?
DJ, it's for a DJ.
How often?
Uh,
On occasion or
Thursdays, Fridays, and
a
Saturdays.
couple of nights, 3 nights a week?
And also, there's also a, for a pool table.
Right.
Are you all set, ready to go? Everything, the construction is
I'm
done?
good to go, I'm like, ready.
Roll call vote?
Councilman Perry?
Yes.
Councilman Gossett?
Yes.
Councilman Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilman Fonseca? Yes. Councilman Lozay?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera? Yes. Councilman Solano?
Yes.
Motion carried, Mr. President.
Thank you.
What are your hours?
Good luck, Mr. Juan.
Thank you for your patience.
1 to 1.
1 to 1.
I want to, this one,
I move to approve the second one, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion.
There was,
There was collective.
There was.
He said he wasn't gonna approve it.
I didn't say that, I just looked at you. When
You
you,
said
the way you,
we'll
just
do it.
the way you showed it,
Good luck.
you stunned the audience. I didn't know you were driving that. Okay.
We move on to.
I thought you meant to throw the ball the second
We
base.
stayed in communication.
We
We got the
do,
department heads.
we do, that's what we're going to next, Mr. President. Executive Communications, Department Financial Reports.
What do we do?
Thank you for your patience also, thank you.
So, good evening. I have November revenue and October expenses to present today. Do you have any questions?
I had one.
Yeah.
On page 105 of the general fund expenditure summaries, I noticed that you went about 38,000 over on other professional services. Could you speak to?
What department?
It's the general fund, the annual budget. It's under the clerks. It says other professional services clerk.
I think this item is due for reimbursement, as I recall, so it's temporarily is showing as negative until we will receive funds back.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. Good evening, sorry to have you here so late. You're giving us October 31st. Where is November, December, January, if I can ask?
So I have pretty much up to date everything except I had our payroll clerk on medical leave. She came back in January, she's catching up, and we will be ready to present everything for the full financial workshop this month later.
2 more weeks.
Yes, up to date.
Do you have also the annual order report? Is it available to be picked up?
Not for fiscal 17 yet, but we are working up. We are hoping.
They haven't issued it yet?
No, we got extension for the end of February, end of February.
Okay. Last meeting, you mentioned that you had an extension to the
The
end
auditors
of
asked us
January.
that they need a little bit more time.
They needed more time. When it comes in, could you contact us to get a copies?
Absolutely.
I do have questions. I have a lot of questions, and it's gonna take us a long time, but I will defer them as a courtesy. And I will come in to see you again and request certain documentation and information.
Yeah,
and I can
perhaps
get
we have a
copies.
workshop for this month.
Before that, I'll
Before
come
that,
in.
definitely we'll get on full information.
I'll come in to see you for additional
Absolutely.
information, okay?
No problem.
I do have questions on this, but people are here a long time, I don't want to keep them later.
I
But
understand.
there needs to be more questions.
I understand.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Councilman
On page 2 of that same report on the back, there was another issue of expenditure of $45,000 for telephone communications. Is that also something we expect to be reimbursed for? Okay.
There you go. Thank you, and again, thank you for your patience. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I apologize. I am repeating myself. At the last meeting, I requested that the reports provide a deeper breakdown. I addressed the city clerk's office. I addressed it to the clerk directly. It's something reviewing my notes, I requested it a year ago, and I requested it at the last meeting, and I'm requesting it again, that all department heads provide more than just the revenue for that month. They provide a breakdown for that month, for the year, for the past year, and what's remaining. It's a normal breakdown, that accounting that you would have, that has been given in the past, and I request it be given again, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Looking for a motion to approve the finance reports collected as received. Thank you, you're all set.
Thank you. Good night.
So received. Thank you very much again for your patience. Thank you,
Thank
Chief.
you. Consideration of tax abatements, Mr. President.
Mr. Batty, thank you also for your patience.
Entirely welcome.
I hope you enjoyed the
I certainly did, sir.
evening.
I did. My name is Bob Batty, I'm the tax assessor. I'm here for the abatements, which you should have, for the department's recommendation for abatements both from the Board of Appeals and from my office.
I'm pretty sure.
You should have received detailed reports in your package. I'm here to answer any questions you may have on either myself or the board.
This is getting tabled.
Certainly no impact to the budget.
No, absolutely no impact on the budget.
So, question is, all those abatements are for the motor vehicle?
All of the tax assessors ones are for motor vehicles, yes.
And the other one, Franklin, is for property, which was the
One from the
Board of
Appeals is
Appeals,
for
yeah, which is
property.
separate from his own. Have the adjustments gone out for last year on motor vehicles, people that paid for the year?
The refunds?
Yes.
Not all of them have gone out. We're getting, some of them have gone out, and we are currently working, in some cases, overtime to process them, ASAP. Again, we've been very short-staffed in the department, and right now, we realize the impact that that's having on the taxpayers, so we're really trying to get those out ASAP.
Thank you.
I move to approve.
Motion by Councilor Solano to approve the abatements, the tax excess abatement, seconded by Councilman Figueroa. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nays? No nays. Ayes have it. And that brings us to the Board of Appeals. This one property on 84 Sylvian Street, correct?
That's correct, Councilman.
What's your pleasure?
May I ask the assessor his opinion on the decision by the Board of Appeals?
Board of Appeals is an independent body In my position, I have no impact on them whatsoever.
I only ask your opinion on it.
As you know, in most cases when appeals, as far as this is a non-utilization penalty, and in my position as the assessor, I do not have the right to abate non-utilization penalties, so all non-utilization penalties go to the Board of Appeals.
Anyone else? Looking for a motion?
Motion to approve, Mr.
Motion
Chairman.
to approve the Board of Appeals abatement by Councilman Lozay, second by Councilwoman Rivera. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nays? Hearing none, seeing none, ayes have it. Thank you again for your patience.
You're welcome. Thank you, Council.
Enjoy the evening. What's left of it. Madam Clerk?
How about we go on to item C of the schedule of bills?
Right.
Since we have some guests who are here.
Yep, that's us.
So we'll do the resolution supporting H7261, alcoholic beverage
How-
liquor licenses.
We have paid solid waste. We go right down the list. Oh, we got Dr. Fines here, I'm sorry. That's so, I knew I saw you at 6.
I've been occupying some space over by the window. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. In recognition of the hour, I'm going to be brief. There is in front of you a PowerPoint that was going to take 20 or 30 minutes, and I think I'm going to mostly skip. But I do want to recognize Deb Navarro, Scott Hewitt, and Sarah Green from the Office on Health put this together, as well as police and fire departments and EMS who have helped in this effort. And just parenthetically, I want to recognize the council for all the work you put into the thought about flavored tobacco. You are protecting the health and safety of everyone in Central Falls, and from my perspective, you're doing God's work. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a long and arduous process, but it's important. So thank you for that. In terms of the H7261, it aims to shrink open hours in Central Falls for liquor retailers a little bit. We recognize this problem as we study all EMS runs. We discovered in July that the number of EMS runs for alcohol intoxication had jumped. When we began to look at that, we began to understand that I didn't even know there were summer hours. We began to realize that there were summer hours, and there's a pretty clear association between summer hours and EMS runs for alcohol intoxication. That has become a bigger issue now that Memorial is closed, because every time EMS is out of the city for an alcohol intoxication run, it's not available for others. Our alcohol intoxication runs are now 4 to 5 times our runs for acute myocardial infarction, for heart disease or heart attacks. And so that means there is a substantial risk as the number of people who we have to transport for alcohol intoxication rises, that we're not going to be able to respond in a timely way for someone. That's the concept in a nutshell. I'm happy to take questions.
I just want to thank you for all the work, not only on these items, but all the work you do on a daily basis. When you first got up there, you scared me. You said, I'm not going to speak for 30 minutes, I'm going to speak for 40. But I thank you, and as Representative Maldonado, I want to give a shout out to her for her work. And you pursued this, Doctor, you pursued this liquor license, shrinking the hours, and you persevered, and hopefully this resolution will help when they address it at the State House. So thank you again, the work you do on a daily basis, not only on these resolutions. But, anyone? Yes, thank you.
Yes, Dr. Fine, I want to thank you too for the effort that you are doing to protect the people of Central Falls. And it's not like I'm not against the ordinance that you want to put on, but there's something I would like to point it out. There's 4 liquor stores in the city of Central Falls, surrounded by like maybe 12 or 15 liquor stores in the area. And then, even though if we put that there, we are putting our business owner just in risk, not to do the business that they're doing. And I don't know if you remember why the state law passed to open liquor store on Sunday in the state of Rhode Island. That was because nearby the state, people was crossing by just to buy liquors. Because people gonna go anywhere if they wanted to buy liquor. Within Central Falls, Pawtucket, Lincoln, Cumberland, or elsewhere, they're gonna go anywhere to buy liquors. And I think it's not fair for the business owner of Central Falls to put this law only here in Central Falls while the surrounding area gonna be open. That's not gonna help the cost, in my point of view.
I understand this is a interesting and difficult public policy choice, and it is for the council to make. The choice is between helping liquor store owners compete on one hand, or seeing more alcohol intoxication on the other hand, and seeing and risking missing the opportunity to respond to heart attacks and other critical emergencies because we're devoting the time and energy that we could have for those emergencies to transporting people who are intoxicated. We know, as I said, that the number of people intoxicated that we transport in Central Falls because they're intoxicated is 5 times the number we transport for people, 5 times the number of transports we run for people with heart attacks. And we see that those numbers of people intoxicated rise when open hours expand.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Dr. Fine, thank you for your work. And two questions or concerns. The first, and talk to me about this for a second on the sidebar, but my concern is not actually about the liquor store owners, but about people who drink alcohol. And, you know, as Franklin mentioned, or as Councilman Solano mentioned, you know, we live in a city that's small enough where many people can walk to get their alcohol. Now, if we change our hours and we essentially push them to potentially drive to get their alcohol to another city, does that not put them in more danger than they would have been had they walked?
I don't think we have a scientific answer to that question, but if you look at the geocoded map in your presentation, you will see a clustering of alcohol intoxication runs around the liquor retailers, which means that in Central Falls, we have more people to move by EMS. You know, if somebody gets intoxicated someplace else, for better or for worse, I hate it, but it means we don't have to move them out of Central Falls.
Well, that depends on how far they make it out. No, I hear you. So actually related to your data collection, which I think is very valuable and useful for perspective, what were the times, the peak times for the average call? Because one of the things we talked about is on what end we cut the time, right? And I think if we cut the time in the front end, that allows our stores and our patrons to be safer and more competitive, not respectively flipped. But you know, when were these calls made?
I don't know. We haven't done it by time.
Okay.
Anyone else?
And just experientially, you know, for most people, it takes a little bit of time to get completely intoxicated from the time that things open. So I would be surprised if they were first thing in the morning.
This is for Matt. On here it states, you know, between November 1st and May 31st, and then between June 1st and October 31st, different times, and also for holidays. Can that be added to the resolution? Because the resolution only states 9 to 9.
This is already a state law. You don't need to add it to the resolution. The
But-
resolution supporting the state law. We're
But
changing
But
this.
the
Yeah.
resolution only said, okay. So we're not following the state law.
No, we would
Trying to
have
make
stricter rules.
Trying to make an exception to the state law.
And Providence, right?
Like Providence.
Right, Providence.
Well,
yeah.
Providence is a later end time.
And this could certainly die at the state level. Shelby is submitting it, I believe. And she'll be speaking on behalf of the city, on behalf of Dr. Fine, and
So, yeah, this has the date of January 24th, so, but it says in the city of Central Falls, and it says, you know, for the holidays.
But it's
the
they
closing time
introduced.
should be 10.
it was already introduced, I believe, right, Doc? Hasn't hit the floor yet.
It hasn't hit the floor. My understanding is the bill introduction had to be before, I think we have till the end of February, but it's been introduced as a modification of the state law, but I don't believe it can go forward without a resolution from the council
Correct.
supporting it.
And that's why it's here tonight. It's time sensitive right now. So it's not something we can put off and rewrite, table. Yeah, you go.
Are you working with another municipalities, like Pawtucket and Cumberland, on this?
We are not at the moment.
No, the only.
But one hopes, given that Providence undertook a similar action, and the growing attention that's being paid to alcohol intoxication as part of the broad view of our challenges in Rhode Island with substance use altogether. Remember, we are about 5th in the nation for the use of every substance we can measure, including alcohol. I believe that other communities will begin to look at us and follow our lead.
And what happens if we pass this and like it will go back if another municipality don't, or like I think after 2 years or something? No, right? No.
For this one, if the council sees fit to pass a supportive resolution, then the legislature still has to act before it becomes law. If other communities want to do the same thing, they also have to go to the legislature and ask for a similar change in the state law. The solicitor can please correct me if I'm missing that mark. He's better at this than I by far.
Yeah, I think, Councilman Rivera, one of the issues it may have been that the state law is on legal size paper, and what you have printed out is a letter size paper. So I'll just summarize the House bill, which is House Bill 7261, that Representative Maldonado has already introduced, and as Dr. Fine stated correctly, the legislature typically does not pass a bill without a council resolution in support of it, if it is a town bill, city or town bill, which this is. And so the bill would do two things. In clause 1, it would say that you cannot sell alcohol from a liquor store in Central Falls between the hours of 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. Between November 1st and May 31st. So those are the winter months that we're currently in, except on the legal holiday eves. So if Christmas Eve fell on a, not a holiday, Christmas fell on a Tuesday, then on Monday night, it could be open till 10 o'clock. And then section 2, which got cut off from your printout.
Yeah, it's on that page.
Oh, you do have it. I guess mine didn't have it. I guess I'm the one flying in the dark. Well, all right, section 2 just speaks to the summer months where no one can sell between 11 o'clock at night and 9 in the morning. But in essence, this is a non-binding resolution of the council urging the assembly to pass the bill.
And recognizing that there is good public health data, mostly from Europe, suggesting that expanding open hours contributes to alcohol intoxication. And so the working assumption among people who are expert in the field is that shrinking them will reduce alcohol intoxication.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you for being here. On the PowerPoint, it says in here we don't know who is who. So is there, I mean, if we're logging who we're taking to the hospital, then we know who it is.
What we meant in the PowerPoint is we don't know who is susceptible to addiction. We know that 90% of us are not likely to be susceptible to addiction, but 10% of us are, but we don't know who's susceptible. So when we see more consumption of alcohol and other substances, we can't tell on the front end who's going to get addicted and who isn't, which is what makes this such a difficult area of public policy.
Right, but we know if the same,
Oh, we know.
John Smith again transported 10 times.
We
So
know
even if-
each of those.
Right, but even if, I think it's a public safety, nuisance. If we know who those people are, then even if they're susceptible to addiction or not, it's an issue,
Well,
right? So
It is an issue, and so one of the things we're doing, we've convened, we had a meeting with a couple of liquor store owners. We're trying to expand that meeting and include others. We're trying to find ways of bringing Anchor Recovery and the Recovery Navigation Program to Central Falls when we see somebody getting into trouble. We're doing a bunch of things to try to reduce the transports that we have. But in order to be effective from a public health perspective, you need to walk on multiple roads at the same time.
And last question, could we ask the fire department to give us the times of the runs?
We could.
Because I think that would be helpful for the council.
I think that's a doable thing. Mr. Hewitt is a data genius and put this together.
Jonathan, you have another question?
One of the things I would just add is, in Central Falls, we have the best data flow about alcoholism and substance use disorder of any city in the state. And so we know on a week-by-week and month-by-month data what's happening and how it's happening. And that gave us the capacity, and will give us the capacity, to respond rapidly when we see the challenges, as we will.
My only final comment on the matter is I appreciate all the work you guys are doing. I think the data is great. I wish that Representative Maldonado had talked to us before she drafted and submitted this legislation. I think that would have given me the opportunity to ask questions. I think the time one is an important one that needs to be answered, particularly, what times, are there certain days of the week to allow us to make an even more data-informed decision than just saying we're going to contract on the hours. And so I think she's, kind of put us in a tough spot. And, personally, I don't support this as written, but I will, give it to the council on our vote.
I would just like to add, Dr. Fine, if you, obviously the liquor store, retail store related incidents where a rescue goes out is probably on the street or in a home, in a yard. Combine those rescue runs with the runs that they may have to make to a quote bar room or bar and grill, whatever. Combining those two, the retail, where they purchase their liquor at a retail store, drink it at home on the street, combined with our runs to the bar rooms, I really would think that, like you said, and I've been saying this for years, why should we be tied up in a bar room brawl or something with our police and rescue? It just does not make sense. And like you said, God forbid somebody has a heart attack, and how does the city explain, well, our rescue was at Joe's Bar or Jim's retail store, somebody fell in front. So I hear that part of it. And I know there's two sides to the story. I know the retailer has to make some money, but, looking at the hours, it's 1 hour less certain times of the year. But that's all I have to say. Anyone else?
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Fine. Sorry that you're here this late. I, like everyone else, appreciate your work in the city, but in some respects, I don't agree with your hypothesis on certain details. I have to admit that I owned a liquor store. My family did for many years, and got rid of it in '98 or so. I have spoken to a couple of the liquor store owners, and they didn't know about it, and they were not happy with it, and they do not support this. The city council has already take away partial cigarette sales with them. They are closing down their business for at least a couple of hours on an evening. Because at certain times they can open up till 11, and we're shutting some of them down at 9. On the holidays, they used to open up till 11, you're closing them down at 10. I think the businesses in Central Falls, and I've looked at some of your data, but it doesn't differentiate that rescue runs are specifically related to the liquor store. And that's all we're addressing here, is liquor stores. I see more liquor activity with barrooms than I do with liquor stores. I equate liquor stores to hardworking business people, mostly hardworking families who go buy their liquor and mostly go home to celebrate a Super Bowl, a soccer match, a party. And if they're working till 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, that closing time affects them. And I haven't spoken to Representative Maldonado on this in the past. Just first time I saw it is when I heard about it. I think we put enough burdens on businesses, especially the liquor businesses. This would create a very tragic effect to their business. With the tobacco actions that we've recently taken, this will hurt our business community, especially the Class A package stores, tremendously. I can understand your passion, but when the state is looking at expanding their tax revenue on marijuana sales, when the state has, as it was mentioned, opened up package stores and liquor establishments on a Sunday for competition because of Massachusetts. When the state is looking at revenue sources such as this, we're telling our businesses we're shutting the door down. I'll let you comment. I know I have another comment.
Okay. My only comment is this is the responsibility of the council. It is a choice in many ways between the financial health of some businesses or the improved financial health of some businesses and the public health of the community.
Dr. Fine, I see that in your PowerPoint, our actual runs have gone down for this year. January we went from 22 to 17. February we went from 11 to 6.
February is a partial month.
Okay.
And in all fairness, that difference might not be statistically significant.
Correct. They may not even be related to this.
Right. But so one thing I want to point out, and I think there's definitely an issue. But looking at the data, and I don't know if everybody has it available to them, Dexter Street is the problem. And there's one liquor store on Dexter Street, according to this data. If we look at the other ones, that's maybe correlation, but not necessarily causation. And I think something for this council to consider, and I think you're right when you talk about this being our responsibility as a public body, is the way that we were hardliners on tobacco today, we need to be with bars and taverns when they come in here. And it's been my experience that we've been pretty lenient on the suspensions and the fines, and usually they always come lawyered up, and we cut them a break because they're a business and we're obsessed with taxes, and we really want to be pro-business here. And I think we have to decide as a council if we're going to be for our people or if we're going to be just for the businesses. And sometimes those decisions are really tough. And what this says to me is this is not a liquor store problem.
No.
This is a Dexter Street problem. And a problem that is very closely correlated with the number of bars that there are on Dexter Street. And we very recently made a decision that was pretty lenient on a bar on Dexter Street. And so, again, I'll reiterate, we were tough on tobacco with stores. I think we need to take the same approach and take the responsibility that he's putting on us. I don't think that that necessarily is reflected in the liquor store times, but I do think that it is on how we make decisions about bars.
If you look at one of the slides in the back, the public health evidence that we have suggests the two avenues for control of this problem are reduce open hours and reduce the number of licensees.
Again, I think it comes back to what I was clear earlier, the combination of our rescue and our police department going to both bars and or liquor store related injuries. It's a combination, and as far as, it might be more on Dexter than other streets, but I still think it's a citywide problem that we should try to solve. And, as far as, keep in mind, this is just a resolution and supporting at the state level, and they could make some minor amendments. I don't know how, but the wording could change, but it still could change in our favor. So just keep that in mind. It's a resolution and has to be done to support the legislation that shall be submitted. Mr. Luzier.
Mr. Chairman, my understanding, if we submit this, then we're looking to restrict even further the state law. They're not going to make it more favorable to Central Falls. They're going to make it worse. Dr. Fine, on the back of this, I was under the impression originally that we're closing down at 9 o'clock. But the proposed liquor store hours that you have here is it opens up at 9 and closes at 9. So we're closing stores in the morning, those who open up early, and then we're shutting them down at night early. So it's a double whammy to businesses. We're eliminating 3 to 4 hours of operation on a day of a business operation. That's a lot. That's a lot to ask, besides the struggling businesses as they are. None of these businesses that I know, and it was one of the owners that was here earlier, Central, are making millions of dollars on their sales. They're barely getting by on most of them. But the taxes are going up, the license fees are going up, everything else is going up, and we're taking more and more away from them. That's why I can't support this resolution.
One piece of data that we got from a liquor store owner, and this references a previous comment, the liquor store owner disclosed that 50 to 70% of that liquor store sales are for nips and single beers. So the notion that these are all sales where people are going to take it home and enjoy it probably isn't that supported.
That's part of the sales.
But those are the sales that we think contribute to public intoxication.
I was just sad, and I'm sure she's got a very busy schedule. I appreciate you being here, Dr. Fine. There are details about this that I would have liked to amend it, and I would have appreciated if Representative Maldonado was here. And in the past, we've had situations where people wanted to lobby for something that was going to get them votes, and they were here. And I don't think this is about that, but because it does affect us, and us effectively voting for it would be our official stamp on it, and not being able to communicate with her about changes we would like to see is a bit frustrating.
So can we put in a motion to table it and have her, ask her?
Well,
I'd love that.
What's the time frame on it?
Matt, you have a better sense of that than I do.
Well, my understanding is that Representative Maldonado put the bill in for the Office on Health, who you're speaking to now, so I'm not sure what information you're going to get from her that you can't get from the Office on Health who requested the bill.
On the timing side, I don't know how it plays in the legislature and when the city council resolution.
Probably up until May 1st, the council would have. That would be on the later side.
And
So,
yeah.
the council is a couple of months if they so they want it.
We could work on this in submit. February is strictly the workshop. The meeting in March, we could either have her before us or, Jonathan, you have any specific areas or just in general you want to look at the total?
The two things that I would request are, one, the times at which the calls are being made, and two, I would want to talk to the representative about how amenable she would be to changing the language or changing the hours. So again, my suggestion was be open to hours changing if they came in from the front end rather than the back end. But also I would want to corroborate that with the data on when the calls are made.
You have that available?
Well,
Oh,
we haven't looked at the
actual hours, the police or fire?
actual hours yet. We probably can do it most easily in 3-hour blocks, that'd be my guess. But would 3-hour blocks be adequate from your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I don't see why this bill couldn't be couldn't be changed or modified to do with a different constellation of hours. Again,
I thought it could be at the state level, correct me if I'm wrong, that still let it ride and then make the changes before it goes to the finance.
The council could request changes, and then the state law can change to
That's
reflect this.
right, so I think we should leave it in as it is and then work on the changes between now and, certainly between now and then. Let it ride now and then make our changes over the next few weeks or months.
my request would be we target it for April. Understanding a little bit about the legislative session suggests to me May might be a little short, create a little shortness of breath.
Could you meet with Jonathan or
I would
Shelby or
greatly
combination? Anyone that wants to meet with Dr. Fine at any time, he's I'm sure he's.
I definitely would like to hear more about it, because at this time, I do not support that.
As it is, so you don't want to do
I do
anything?
not.
Nothing tonight other than table, correct? Mr. Luzerne.
Mr. Chairman, I request that when we schedule it, prior to that since we only have 4 liquor stores, Class A package stores in the city, that they be notified, invited to appear and to give their opinions. This is affecting them. I think they should be notified and they should comment.
The problem is, they can give their opinions, but it's not going to change the statistics that are in
It's their
front.
opinion.
They can't deny the survey. And that's where I'm basing my weight on the survey and our police and fire department having to.
They have the right to know though about the change.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah, fine, but I'm just wondering how that would change their
In
input.
all due respect,
Certainly, that's fine. Their input is going to be, no, they don't want to change it.
in all due respects, I don't know if Dr. Fine could break down the survey to specifically address the cause. If it is liquor, did they obtain the liquor from a liquor store, or were they drinking at home, or were they at a bar? We're categorizing everyone, this is an evil, and we should stop the liquor stores from selling.
We have no way to categorize where they obtained the liquor.
But we're blaming them.
We're not blaming anybody.
But we do the same thing with drug dealers. So where'd you get
What we're
your
showing you, what we're showing you very clearly is where those EMS transports came from, where they originated, and how those transports are associated in space with the liquor stores that exist. I think that this map lays that out fairly clearly.
So we've come to the conclusion, looking for a motion to table for further
Move to
review.
table, Mr. Chairman.
Study. Have a motion by Councilman Lozere, second by Councilman Costa. Table, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nays? Hearing none, seeing none, ayes have it. Thank you for your time and patience this evening, Doctor.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Ordinance amending chapter 30, and solid waste, article 1 in general, first reading.
Has everyone reviewed the ordinance? After speaking with Elaine and reviewing it, the basic change is the throwing of litter, just nilly-willy throughout the city or in a park. That's why it's created. Right now, we have laws on litter, but the changes are that where it's being deposited, basically not in the receptacle that we provide. All our parks have receptacles. In fact, Cujo Park, hopefully, very soon will have a couple of new cans. I know the trash cans don't look too bad. Cujo Park, they're old, but that's what we're looking for people. If they're going to throw their trash, please deposit in the receptacles. And if they don't, there's a possibility they could be fined.
Motion to approve the ordinance amending the solid waste ordinance, that's redundant.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Costa, second by Councilman Solano, to approve first passage of the solid waste ordinance. Any further discussion?
Is this first passage?
Yes. Hearing none? Roll call?
Councilman Perry?
Yes.
Councilman Acosta?
Yes.
Councilman Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fonseca? Yes. Councilman Lozada?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Solano?
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Next is a resolution opposing the ending of temporary protected status.
I think you will have a few words, I think, on it.
Yes, well, as you know, these are people that come to this country to work hard, to get a better future for their own families, you know, so, and I know some of them have their own businesses, their own properties, you know, I know some of them. One of them, he paid like $40,000 a year. He has 11 properties here in St. Falls. He pays about $40,000 on the taxes. And I know this, most of these people come to this country to work, and that's why I support this resolution. I would like to pass this resolution. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Councilwoman Rivera, seconded by Councilman Acosta and Councilwoman Fonseca. Any further discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, nays. So passed. Thank you.
Resolution in support of the School Building Improvement Act. Councilman Solano.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, the Senator Jagri has introduced this. I can find my report.
Here.
Thank you. Yeah, Senator Jagri has introduced the Building Improvement Act of 2017. As we all know, there's so many schools in the city and the state that are really in very bad shape and they need to be repaired. And doing minor repairing, it doesn't help the cost. So with this bill, if we can get those, the money to the state of Rhode Island, the school can really be fixed the way they need to be fixed, and the teacher and everybody else will focus on the education of the children. And that's why I'm supporting this bill.
Okay. Sounds like a win-win situation.
Yes.
It's like grants. We apply and hope for it, and they're generally win-win situation. And I don't think this would be something where we have to have matching funds, even strictly federal.
Yes.
Motion by Councilwoman Rivera, seconded by Councilman Figueroa, and I believe Councilman Acosta. Give her a paper back, will you? Any further discussions? Roll call vote.
Councilman Perry?
Yes.
Councilman Acosta?
Yes.
Councilman Figueroa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fonseca?
Yes.
Councilman Lozada?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera? Yes.
Councilman Solano?
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
Thank you.
We have resolutions of Central Falls City Council condolences and congratulations. The first one is a condolences to the family of Christian Huertas, who passed away last night. And this is introduced by Councilwoman Fonseca. The condolences as well, these are all introduced by Councilman Lozea. Christopher Darius Giardo, did I say that correctly?
Sorry.
Christopher Darius Giardo.
Christopher Faridios, it's the owner of Jiffy's Restaurant, Christopher Faridios. Christofaros, is that what it is?
Oh, Mina Genie.
Oh, we did, yeah. What's it?
I just called.
Mr. Robert
I just
Martin.
called, Chris.
The family of Mr. Robert Martin, the family of Manuel M. Buddy Vincent, the family of Joseph Isaac Haight, and the family of Huang Wen Hong. Those are condolences.
Buddy, did he die again?
Move to approve, Mr.
Buddy
Chairman.
Stancy?
He worked for Buddy.
Oh, okay, I thought he died.
Vote to approve
Second.
collectively.
Have a motion and a second. Can you pay attention now? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, nays.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Ayes have it.
request, I appreciate the resolutions, but as I've requested in the past, resolutions, the author of the resolution or the sponsor should be listed. If someone sponsors a resolution the way you have them presently, you don't know who is the one who introduced it. It should be introduced by, included in there.
She opened with that.
Yeah, but it's not on the resolution the way it's written.
The whole council is on the resolution.
No, but it should be listed of who introduced the resolution. Everyone supports it, yes.
Why?
But it was introduced by a certain individual, because that individual introduced it.
But anyway, can I?
Yes, go ahead, Frank.
In my understanding, when we request those type of resolution and give us a citation, the name of the people that requested is a tab. That's the only name. And for example, if you did, your name is there and the whole councilman is there.
That's the way it was presented. I don't mind all the council signing it, but the resolution should be who introduced it.
The clerk mentioned your name, Tom, on all of them, basically.
Yes, in her reading. I want to see it included as authored by in the final document. That's what I'm saying. I'm not objecting to everyone else signing. I'm objecting that it should be, when I give a resolution to somebody, they should know it was sponsored by this person. That's what a resolution does. It has always included the author. It's so introduced by. I request that again, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Now we have several resolutions of congratulations. The first ones are introduced by Councilman Lozea. Dr. Peter Barziades on his election as president of the YMCA
Baziotis.
of Tucker at its 128th annual meeting. Reverend Alan Charlton, pastor of St. Ephraim's Syriac Orthodox Church of Central Falls, on the 10th anniversary of his ordination in the service of our Lord.
Correct. Pastor of St. Ephraim's.
Honorable Sandra Cano on being honored by the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce at its annual 2018 dinner meeting. Congratulating the Ralph J. Holden Scholarship Committee on its continued support to the Central Falls High School graduates at its Irish celebration on March 2nd, 2018. And Mr. Louis Pager on his induction into the 2018 Central Falls Warriors Athletic Hall of Fame.
Move to approve collectively, Mr. Chairman.
And there's one more,
Oh,
not yours. This
okay.
one is introduced by Councilman Acosta, and it's from Ms. Michelle Moreno Silva. She was chosen as the 2018 Rhode Island Cherry Blossom.
Move to approve collectively, Mr.
I
Chairman.
have a motion by Mr. Lozada, approved collectively. Second by Councilman Solano and Councilman Acosta. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, nays, ayes have it.
have a claim still, so we need to address. This is item E, and is of Mr. Joseph Espada Jr. Esquire on behalf of Jane Doe, alias College Damage Sustained on November 29, 2017.
This is, apologies, this is a claim well in excess of our $2,500 deductible, and would recommend referral to the interlocal trust.
Look for a motion to refer said claim to the trust.
Motion to refer to the trust, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Rosette, seconded by Councilman Figueroa to send claim to the trust. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nays, hearing none, seeing none. Ayes have it. Thank you.
Item G, Mr. President, if we could table it to the next meeting, is presentation regarding Central Falls monuments.
Yes, Craig had to leave.
Motion to table presentation regarding Central Falls monuments.
Have a motion tabled by Councilman Acosta, seconded by Councilman Rivera to table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nays, ayes have it. So tabled.
Item H is election of special constable license pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 45-16-8.
I have to abstain.
That was aggressive.
Me too.
While he walks out, motion to approve the election of special constable licenses collectively.
You okay with it?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Acosta, seconded by Councilman Rivera to approve constable licenses collectively. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nays, ayes have it. Thank you.
Consideration of petition by National Grid and Verizon for permission for a third pole location on Broad Street.
Have a motion by Councilman Councilwoman, let's get on second, second by Councilwoman Rivera.
Second.
Under discussion, it's fairly routine. I mean, National Grid knows what they're doing. I see no reason why we should deny anything they're doing. With that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nays, ayes have it.
Back to approval minutes.
Yes. Approval of minutes?
Mr. Chairman.
Oh. We still haven't done behind.
Mr. President, if I may.
You may.
You have two on your packet, and as you see, December 11th is back on. There was an amendment made to those minutes that were done incorrectly. And in speaking with Mr. Solicitor, he recommended that we consider a motion to reconsider those minutes. I'll explain exactly what section needs to be changed so that we may be able to submit the minutes with the correct votes.
Basically, that says a vote, nothing to do with a vote.
Correct. Just a second.
Mr. Chairman.
She's going to give her a chance to say that.
I'm looking for what you changed.
Correction.
Mr. Chairman, while we're looking on this, can I make a request? I would like to, if possible, I know that every items are numbered if we are having an ordinance, if it's 4 pages 1 to 4, but I would like to request that if we were, let's say, 200 pages to mark numbers from 1 to 200 one at a time, because sometimes we go back and forth and we lost. It's easier to ask somebody what page is it to find the one that we're looking for. And if possible, I would like to request that. Thank you.
I apologize to you, frankly, because we had talked about that a while ago, open coffee.
Yes.
I apologize.
Sometimes we gotta get like looking for, it's easy to have number on the top of the corner. Thank you.
So, Mr. President, the motion was made by Councilwoman Fonseca to amend the vote of Mr. Councilman Figueroa, in which he voted no. And I, in the section, so the motion was made to section on page 5, which was the business licenses. So we amended that section. We should have amended the section on page 4 instead. We amended the business licenses vote for Councilman Figueroa, and in reality, we was talking about the abatement, the tax abatement. So bottom of page 4, he voted no, and I listed him as yes.
So you want to amend just that section, which is Roman numerals 8? Roman numeral 8A.
Yeah. But I would need a motion to consider.
Sure. So looking for a motion to
Mr. Chairman?
reconsider amending the minutes. I have page 4, Roman numeral 8, section A down the bottom. Councilman Figueroa actually voted no and is listed as voting yes.
I move to reconsider the meeting minutes for December 11th.
I have a motion by Councilman Figueroa, second by Councilman Rivera and Councilman Solano. Page 4 is where the correction needs to be.
No, so Councilman Figueroa had voted no on section 7B.
Page 3
Because that's the one that Carlene and I had recused ourselves for because we live on their property. I was there, but I know that he voted no.
So
Page.
So it's page 3, it's section 7B,
7B.
the Tayo Associates tax abatement. So the vote should have been 4-1.
That's one?
Yeah, one.
What's your page 4?
And it should be listed that he's abstaining, or he recused himself. No.
Well, no, it is listed that we recuse ourselves. So Carlene and
Colleen and Jonathan, because that's probably
We live there.
where they live there.
And
So it was,
Right.
the motion carried
So
4-1.
page 3,
no.
Roman numeral 7B, down at the bottom where the actual votes were taken. The motion actually carried 4-1 with Councilman Figueroa voting no and not yes. That was the only no vote, 4-1.
So do I need to make that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, we have a motion on the floor, but I don't think we had the exact section. So if you want to amend your motion to reflect Roman numeral.
It's supposed to be 41 instead of 50, right?
Right. And the corrected vote is he voted no and not yes. That makes the vote 4-1, but the section is Roman numeral 7, letter B. I don't think we have to any further. I think that's accurate now.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lozere.
I make a motion to amend the entire minutes.
We have a motion on the floor to amend Roman numeral 7, section B. We're amending the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nays?
No, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to amend,
That amendment just passed, by the way. Thank you.
I make a motion to amend the minutes of December 11th, Mr. Chairman. Since we are voting to reconsider, we have opened up the minutes, Mr. Chairman.
We didn't vote to reconsider, we made a correction.
Yeah, we opened the
Because
minutes
there was
to
a
reconsider,
mistake. There was
Mr.
a
Chairman.
there was a typo.
Yeah, we opened the
He's not
minutes.
reconsidering his vote, it's a typo, it's 4-1.
We
And he
reconsidered,
voted no, it's just a correction, it's a
the
typo.
minutes are open, Mr. Chairman. I asked point of order with the solicitor. We voted to reconsider the minutes. They're open. I'm making a motion.
What's your motion?
I'm making a motion to amend the minutes to reflect the actual video discussions and actions at the meeting, because the presented minutes do not reflect the discussions by the council and the comments, questions, and answers by the council and other individuals. I, at the meeting, requested that they be reflected in the minutes. They were not, and I'm requesting that the minutes be amended to properly be reflected of the actual minutes of the meetings, and that the council, the minutes can be returned back to us for a vote at the next meeting.
We have a motion to have the minutes reflect,
To amend the minutes,
to amend the minutes to reflect
the actual
the actual.
discussions at the meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Everybody get that, is there a second? Hearing none, seeing none, motion dies.
I'm gonna motion to include a video link at the bottom of every minutes, including the YouTube link from the video that we shot.
Yeah, we do go on YouTube.
Right, but on the minutes, you
Yeah.
put a hyperlink, so that when people look up the minutes, they
Yeah.
can click the link and it goes straight to the video. You don't have to Google Central Falls City Council meeting February 12th, 2018. You just open the minutes and you click it, and that'll take clerically maybe 35 seconds after you go.
And your point is?
My point is, it solves some of the issues that Councilman Lizzie has been bringing up.
Yeah, and this has been going on since January. All the minutes are on that camera.
Right.
Whether you see them on YouTube or not, they're reflected on every minute, everything is already reflected.
So I have put in a motion, so.
I second that.
All right, so can we vote on that? Or you can open it.
Repeat it again.
So, motion to include a hyperlink on all the minute records going forward, including the video from our meeting.
Okay, have a second?
Second.
Second by
Any questions?
Councilman Rivera, under discussion.
Can that be retroactive to that last January?
Just moving forward.
So my only pushback or question on this would be, we submit the minutes to the Secretary of State, so my assumption is those are already submitted. We would have to go back and amend all of them probably, if I'm not correct. Is that true, Solicitor? Yeah, so I think if we do it going forward, that's a little bit more feasible. If not, then we have to go back, talk to Secretary of State's office and literally amend every single.
If I can comment, I appreciate the effort, I agree with it, I will support it. My problem is in the past that as I've stated, the minutes, the typed minutes do not reflect the exact discussions at the meeting. And to have a hyperlink would solve half a problem, because the official minutes are what we vote. The video is not an official record. It's not official minutes. If you want to make it an official minute, then that's another step. Because when you go back and review the video and contrast what was discussed in the video to what was placed on the minutes, they differ. They may differ, let me put it that way. I contend that they will differ, but they may differ. Then, unfortunately, the voted minutes are what takes precedence, which is what I don't agree with. But we could review the video, and that's fine. But we still have, I still feel we have a problem with the actual voted minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Well, let's be realistic. First of all, the minutes we get are far and above what we actually need. I've gone through this before, Tom. You can put the minutes on a napkin.
That's your.
What do you do 4 hours and 20 minutes? How would you like to do those minutes up? You need a stenographer is what you're saying.
12 years I wrote them by hand,
You want to
Mr.
be
Chairman.
accurate, yeah,
Yes.
for 4 hours, for 4 hours?
Point of order, we should, I mean, this is unbelievable.
I agree.
This is ridiculous what we're doing here.
I agree. All those in favor of Jonathan's motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nays? No nays? Ayes have it, so moved.
Next is meeting minutes of January 8th, 2018.
Well, sorry, we still have to approve the December 11th. That was just a
That's
motion
right.
for the
That's
video.
right.
That's
We did.
correct.
Sorry.
That's correct.
Motion to approve the minutes from December 8th.
Motion by Councilman Rivera, to approve the minutes, second by Councilman Solano. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nays?
Nay.
One nay. Ayes have it. So moved, so approved. Thank you.
Meeting minutes of January 8th, 2018.
Mr. Chairman, I move to table until they are corrected and returned back to the council.
We have a motion by Mr. Luzier to table those minutes. Is there a second? Hearing none, seeing none, motion dies.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Rivera, second by Councilwoman Fonseca. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. In deference to my members of the City Council, I could go through line by line to amend the minutes one after the next, but I would not. I still ask that the minutes be taken properly, and I would not need to do what I'm doing. My discussions, my comments are excluded from these minutes in the past minutes, Mr. Chairman. That should not happen in a regular minutes. It should not be proper, it should not be acceptable to any councilman here. Now, I will fight this battle every meeting. I will continue fighting it further, because unless and until we properly record the actions taken at this meeting, these are not proper minutes. And what we have passed have not been proper minutes. And I will just state, I am not going to amend this now, but these are wrong. And I will.
Thank you.
The only thing I will say about the minutes, Council President. Tom, do you have your meeting minutes from when you were
Yes,
clerk?
yes. Look them up in the
I
downstairs.
have, and these minutes have more words than yours.
Yeah.
So if you want to bring us a copy
I'll bring you a copy.
of yours, so we can see what a proper,
I will do that.
because these are way more detailed than what I saw from yours.
Okay.
Just
I will show you how minutes were taken
Thank you.
over the years.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr.
and
Solano.
I would like to be arguing and back and forth all the time that it's happening more often. And it is unfortunately that we seem like we was elected to be fighting for the period or for the comma, not for the people. And I seen council here that have made an ordinance requesting condolences and they want to table it. And I do not understand why it should be spent such a long time here discussing something that don't want to take us anywhere. That is not fair for anybody of us, especially the people that work, that have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work.
I agree. 4:30, I get it. Yeah. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nays?
Nay.
One nay. Ayes have it. So
Last
passed.
thing is, put them up there.
Well, all I want to say is thank you for your patience, people that are left in the audience, colleagues on the council, thank you so much. It's 10:25. Hopefully next time we can have coffee and donuts sent to us. Anyone else?
Now, on the good welfare, listen, that's where we are?
Yes.
On the good welfare, I would like to congratulate the city of Central Falls and the chief of police who have an installment last month. It was a great ceremony where the chief of police of Central Falls took over the presidency of the police association. It was a great event, and congratulate him, as well as congratulate Mayor Villasco for the step that they're doing here in Central Falls. And by the way, I would like to, on the Good Enough Fair, invite all of you for Dominican Republic flag raising event that will take place on February 23 here in the City Council, at the City Council at noon time. All of you are invited, and hopefully we have a good time there.
Thank you.
Franklin and I went to go visit Christian's mom today.
Oh,
And we were
okay.
really appreciative that we went. We set up a GoFundMe account from her own Facebook and her own account because she was speaking to us about not having the resources to deal with the services. So we set up a GoFundMe account for her. And the other thing is that Friday, Foster Forward will be having an informational session at Navigant from 5 to 7 for recruitment of foster parents.
Oh,
Because
super.
they're very much needed, especially in the city of Central Falls.
Super. And of course, we, on that same note, we're gonna have something in James Park in June regarding foster parenting, recruitment, same thing. So, and Colleen, do you have anything, did you go to Candlelight?
Yeah.
Just fill us in briefly, I don't know, well attended, I assume.
Yes, so I attended the candlelight vigil that students actually organized outside of Central Falls High School. And I want to give a big shout out to the police department because they were very supportive of the students in that moment. So I want to say thank you to them and thank you to the community who showed up. Tomorrow at the high school, our city solicitor and the domestic violence task force has actually put together a Love Shouldn't Hurt event. Wednesday at the high school, February 14th. That was Wednesday. 10 a.m.
It's 9:45 to 10:45. The speaker, it's Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. So our speaker's 16-year-old daughter was murdered by her boyfriend, and he's going to speak about her story. And we're going to have support staff, which is more relevant than ever because it would just happen available for students who are need to talk to someone and who either know violence in their house or a friend or anything. And students just had a suicide prevention talk last week, so it's going to be a rough day. Wednesday, 9:45. You're welcome to come.
And last thing, we mentioned the Ralph J. Holden, that the scholarship dinner is March 2nd from 7 to 12 at Madeira. And this scholarship supports the high school student athlete scholarships that they give out every year, two $1,000 scholarships. And Ralph J. Holden was also, our community center hero. So please support March 2nd.
March 2nd.
I'll send you guys an email.
And they also have the booklets out, have you seen it? The 20th anniversary booklet is out, I don't know if they're for sale, or I got a copy yesterday from Kathy Martin. They're beautiful, it's unbelievable booklet they put out, it's huge. It's a 20th anniversary of Ralph's passing. Quite the book. Anyone else?
Also, I just want to echo Mr. Cocker, the teacher from the Central Falls High School, about that event. They're going to have a Navigant Credit Union for the students to go to Washington.
Oh.
I'm going to be there, so I think we should support from 10 to 11. It's just 1 hour.
Friday.
What day is that?
Friday.
Friday.
Stephanie sent us an email. She said sent it,
Yeah, real quick, two of our schools, middle schools located in Central Falls, competed at the Rhode Island Principals Commission on Athletics wrestling tournament this past weekend. One of the students, Gabriel Acosta, an 8th grader, reached 3rd place in his weight class out of a 32-man bracket, so he's the 3rd best wrestler in the entire state. For his weight class, I'll print up congratulations and do that at the next meeting. Yeah. The second thing, very important, that both the police department and the fire department are currently hiring. The fire chief spoke to me earlier about looking for that it factor, so if we can get the word out, the applications are open until March 1st.
Thank you. Anyone else? With that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, just for the record, I would like to ask that it be placed in the record that all correspondence to me be in written and printed form. I do not, and I've stated in the past, I do not wish to receive official documents via Facebook or email. I request written copies to be notified. I have not been notified of events, and I'm requesting again that I be notified properly. I do not wish notifications by email or Facebook. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to adjourn?
Have a motion to adjourn, seconded by everybody at 10:30. Thank you.
Tom, what people?